everybody, welcome to Crack a Pack Tuesday, number 49 on the Mana Leak. I'm John, as always, and we've got a pack of Oath of the Gatewatch sitting here that looks a little bit worse for wear, and there might be some cards sitting under it because I started recording the audio, but not the video. Luckily, I only got a card in. So I'm going to restart this video. Welcome! This is our second last pack of Oath of the Gatewatch before we start Shadows over Innistrad spoilers and set reviews. And then, of course, Shadow over Innistrad Crack a Packs the week after the set reviews, the week after pre-release. But we're going to open this or take off this opened wrapper off the pile of cards and discuss what we would take pack one, pick one if this was a draft. Ta-da! Up first, we have a Negate. This is 1 and a blue for an instant counter target non-creature spell. Totally not main deckable or first pickable in any way, shape, or form. This is a sideboard card. You put this in your sideboard and you bring it out when you see a Planeswalker or a Crush of Tentacles or some crazy non-creature spell that you cannot handle. Do not main deck this. Do not first pick this. Sideboard only. Up next, we have a Maw of Kozlak. Maw of Kozlak is 3 and a red for a creature Eldrazi drone. It's a 2/5, it's got Devoid, and for a single colorless mana, you can give it +2/-2 until end of turn. So you can make it a 4/1, or not a 4/1, that would be terrible. You could make it a 4/3, or you could make it a 6/1 if you do have 2 colorless mana available. This is decent. It blocks really well for 3 mana, and it can be very aggressive if you can get it through. I can count the number of times I've gotten this through for 6 on one hand. I think I did it once, maybe? It doesn't happen too often, but it's a really solid blocker, and it can even kill some things. That's kind of the place where I really like it. So it doesn't super fit into your super aggressive red decks, but in your slightly less aggressive decks, it's still decent. Not really first pickable, though. Next up, we've got Shoulder to Shoulder. Shoulder to Shoulder is 2 and a white for a sorcery, support 2, draw a card. If this was instant speed, yeah, absolutely, I'd be totally happy with this. Not first pickable, but I would main deck it more often. Sorcery speed kind of hurts it. Kind of hurts it quite a bit. Don't main that, or don't first pick this. It's just not that very good. Not good at all. I would consider this kind of a 23rd card. If I needed a card, I could play this. In the green-white support deck, it might be decent. If I had Step Gliders, maybe this would push me into taking this card a little bit higher, but certainly not a first pick card. Next up, we've got Saddleback Lagak. The most fun card to say in the set. 3 and a green for a creature lizard. It's a 3/1, and when Saddleback Lagak enters the battlefield, support 2. 4 mana for a 3/1 and kind of a 2/2 is really good. Really, really, really good. Putting down a 2-drop, a 3-drop, and Saddleback as your 4-drop feels really good. This card is fantastic. It's first pickable in a weak pack, but I generally wouldn't feel great first picking it. Second, third, fourth pick, yeah, it's pretty darn good for second, third, or fourth pick one of these. But first pick, I'm not totally sold on it. Hopefully the pack gets better, but we'll have to see. Next up, we've got a Corpse Churn. Corpse Churn is 1 and a black for an instant. Put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. Then you may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Don't do it. Don't do it. There's no real graveyard shenanigans going on with this that you need to be doing to get a creature into your hand. I've talked at length about cards like Pulse of Marasa, about getting creatures back from your graveyard, about planning a game around your creatures dying. You don't want to do that. They will, but you don't want to plan your deck around, well, I'm going to suck. I'm going to be behind all the time. You don't want cards that are only good in situations where you're totally behind. Corpse Churn, totally out on it. Next up, we've got Natural State. Natural State is a single green mana for an instant. Destroy target artifact or enchantment with converted mana cost 3 or less. Like Negate, total and utter sideboard card. You should never, ever main deck this. Ever. If you do, you have made a mistake. You are wrong. Not a first pick, definitely not a first pickable card. Not even a main deckable card. This is pure and utter sideboard material. There's just not enough targets for it to be main decked. You know, if this was Mirrodin, sure, main deck it away, absolutely, but not main deckable in this format. Next up, we've got Goblin Freerunner. Goblin Freerunner is 3 and a red for a creature Goblin Warrior ally. It's a 3/2. You can surge it out for 2 if you've already cast a spell this turn, and it's got Menace. Totally serviceable, aggressive creature. I like it in red. I would never want to first pick it, though, but I would always main deck it. Next up, we've got a Wastes. You generally don't want to pick these, ever. You certainly don't want to ever first pick them. they're just not good. There's so many better other colorless sources that are easily available in the draft that you don't really want to waste picks on wastes. Didn't even try to make that a pun or a joke or a anything. But yeah, don't waste a pick on wastes. Next up, we've got Sweep Away. Sweep Away is 2 and a blue for an instant. Return target creature to its owner's hand. If that creature is attacking, you may put it on top of its owner's library. I love Sweep Away. I love bouncing things. I recently reorganized my bulk commons and uncommons collection, and I counted out 38 copies of Voyage's End from all of the Theros block drafting that I did. Voyage's End, for those who don't know, is 1 and a blue to bounce a creature at instant speed to the hand. Sweep Away, I really like it. Blue hasn't been doing fantastically in Oath of the Gatewatch, but Sweep Away is definitely a card that goes in the more controlling blue decks, and I'm a fan of it. I'll take a copy of this. I'll take 2 copies of this. I generally wouldn't want to first pick it, though. Next up, we've got Submerged Boneyard. Submerged Boneyard is a land at uncommon. It comes into the battlefield tapped, and you can tap it to add blue or black mana to your mana pool. You don't first pick dual lands. You just don't. Unless you're value drafting, and you're not value drafting an uncommon dual land. Shockingly, we're already at uncommons, which is strange because I don't really have an amazing card just yet. So Submerged Boneyard, not first pickable, not the pick in this pack, even though this pack has been extraordinarily weak. Next up, we've got a Cliffhaven Vampire, 2 white-black for a creature, Vampire Warrior, ally. It's a 2/4, it's got flying, and whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. This card's fantastic. White-black is arguably the best archetype in the set, the white-black life gain deck. This, with Drana's Emissaries and Calastria Healers and Ondu War Clerics and Vampire Envoys and etc., is an incredible deck. You generally don't want to first pick color or multicolored cards and kind of lock yourself into that deck, but this is one of them that you might want to consider taking just because that deck is so amazing and Cliffhaven Vampire is a really big part of that deck. So I would definitely consider first picking Cliffhaven Vampire despite generally not wanting to first pick a multicolored card. Next up, we've got Flaying Tendrils. Flaying Tendrils is a 1 black sorcery at uncommon. It's got Devoid. All creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. If a creature would die this turn, exile it instead. Flaying Tendrils just hasn't done that much this set. Drown in Sorrow's fine enough, which is 1 black -2/-2 to everything. But it really has to be in the right set. It has to be in a set with a lot of 2/2s or 3/2s or 4/2s or 1/2s or whatever the X2s are. This set doesn't have that. It has a lot of X3s and X4s. So this just hasn't really fit in. It wants to be in a controlling deck, but it just hasn't fit in. And that's a bit sad because it is a decent card, but not first pickable and only sometimes playable. Next up, we've got ourselves a Hissing Quagmire as our rare. Hissing Quagmire enters the battlefield tapped. Tap it to add black or green to your mana pool. Pay 1 black-green, and Hissing Quagmire becomes a 2/2 black and green elemental creature with Death Touch until end of turn. It's still a land. I like this. I like this a lot more than the double strike one. I like it a little bit less than the Shambling Vents, the lifelink one. But it is fine. It can really screw up combat math. You can really get people if they forget that you have this and you activate it and kill their 5/5 or their 8/8 or whatever it is. I like it. It's not super first pickable. Because black-green, of course, isn't an amazing color combination. It's fine. It's decent, but it's not amazing enough for me to super want to first pick this, but it could be first pickable in a weak pack, which this pack arguably is. Do we get a foil? We got a foil land, but it's not an expedition, of course. That's for next week. That's for the final pack of Oath of the Gatewatch. That's where I will finally open an expedition. We get ourselves a swamp. A foil swamp. So this is one heck of a weak pack. One heck of a weak pack. So I'm going to say we're looking at Hissing Quagmire. We are looking at Saddleback Lagak. We are looking at Cliffhaven Vampire. And if I was value drafting, foil swamp. But we're going to pretend that we're not value drafting. So as I was saying, I don't think Hissing Quagmire is totally first pickable. I'm just not sold on first picking dual lands most of the time. If it was an amazing man land, I would probably do Shambling Vents just because a 2/3 with lifelink is pretty solid, but a 2/2 with Death Touch, I don't know. I'm not a super big fan of it. So Hissing Quagmire I'm going to take out. And I'm going to say this is between Saddleback and Cliffhaven. Now, as I said, I super don't really want to take a gold card first pick, but Cliffhaven is one that I might. It's the best color combination in the format. It's the best deck in the format. It's a key component of that deck. So I would be pretty okay first picking Cliffhaven Vampire. I would not marry myself to being black-white off my first pick. But if the stuff came, I've got one of the really important pieces already. So I would take the Cliffhaven Vampire. Definitely let me know what you would have taken. This is an interesting pack because it is so weak across the board. Would you have taken the Vampire? Would you have taken the Lagak, the Hissing Quagmire? Would you have value drafted the Foil Swamp? Let me know in the comments below. You can also let me know by clicking the little eye up in the right-hand corner of the video. That will give you a poll where you can click your answer, or do both if you're feeling particularly interacty. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me on Twitter at The Mana Leak. That's L-E-E-K, like the vegetable, not the card. And you can also find me on Facebook at facebook.com/The Mana Leak. You've already found me here on YouTube. You've got the comment section down below. Please make use of that. As well, if you haven't already subscribed, you should. There's a little button below each video. There's a little button in the outro of each video. Clicking that will keep you up to date on all the latest videos as they pop up here and or there. If you have already subscribed, don't click that button. It unsubscribes you, despite what it says. But yeah, if you haven't subscribed, definitely do that so that you can stay up to date on all the latest videos, especially those set reviews that are coming in a little bit over a week. We all want to see Shadows over Innistrad. We want to talk about it. We're seeing the spoilers right now, I think. I am recording this like a week early. But yeah, definitely subscribe so that you know when those videos are going to come out. But as always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know.